Hey guys, I'm Dieter Melhorn. What should you expect when fishing for catfish this winter? Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it. All right, guys, it's early winter. I'm going to be out here doing some drifting and dragging for some catfish. I'm going to be putting big baits on one side of the boat. If you see any of these big floats, these are from Hooker's Terminal Tackles. It's one of their big floats. It rattles, it suspends the bait up. I've got some of the Dragon Master weedless hooks. I've taken the weed guard off, and some Carolina Lake weights. I'm using some of their drifting weights today, trying them out. These are going to have the big baits on them. So if you see them come in, you'll know what's up. Big old hook. I believe that's a 10-aught hook. Nice big bait there. We're gonna put those out. It's all cut bait today. It's all perch. I'm gonna mix them up. You'll be able to tell by the rig which one is which. So on these rods that have the smaller peg float on them, I'm gonna have some smaller pieces of bait. Just gonna be hooking up some small pieces of white perch. We came out here yesterday. We fished big baits and small baits. Only had 2 small baits out of 6 rods. Every fish came on the small bait. All right, guys, got a good bite on this rod, I think. Yeah, this is one of the big baits. Bigger rod. This is the medium action Catch the Fever rod. It has a bigger bait on it. I don't remember exactly what I put on here. Y'all go back and look. Y'all will know. It was the first bait I threw out, I'm pretty sure. I think it had a big old body chunk on it. Hey, it's good to get bit on one of these big baits. Boom, and I got a crappie rod going off over here, a perch rod. We're gonna deal with this one first. This could be my day maker I'm looking for. He's wrapped, I felt him pop. Drifting through here, about a half mile an hour. It's kind of windy, wind's on and off. I got a big drift sock out. There he goes, he's punching back now. 4 planer boards, 2 straight out. This one's straight out the back. Decent fish, not a giant. We'll take him. Let's get him over to this side. Get my net. Oh, see what we got here. Oh yeah, in the net. He's about 10 pounds. Had to cut that hook off. It was pretty deep, man. I hate that. It's way down there in his throat. It's all right, good fish on the big bait. Man, I tell you, I go from getting ready to take my jacket off to having a hood on, and guess what? That's winter. That's winter fishing. That's one of the points, is be ready for some dramatic changes in weather. You get the cold fronts that come through, and man, temperatures can drop, water temperatures can drop, shallow water temperatures can drop, and then poof, some warm trends to where it stays really, really warm. The bottom line is, one of the things to do in the wintertime, keep an eye on the weather. Pick and choose your days too. Listen, I've got a guide trip supposed to go out tomorrow. It's gonna be like 19 or 20 degrees. I gave the people the option to push it back another day or 2 until it warms up. Can you catch fish when it's that cold? Absolutely. Do you want to be out there in that misery doing it? Well, that's up to you and how much time you got to fish. So keep an eye on the weather, pick and choose your battles. The bottom line is, you're not going to catch as many fish in the wintertime. Your odds of catching a big one are a lot better, but you may have to put in some hours to get that hook up. Guys, I got one trying to go here, a planer board. Planer board on the outside. I got this one going too. Hooked up, he's on there. He's on there. There's one hitting this purple rod right here. I got a feeling this one may be into the other planer board. These could all be the same fish hitting this. It could have hit one, went into another one, picked up another bait and went the other way. This is a smaller bait. The one in the middle is a larger bait. And the one I thought was getting hit was a smaller one. It feels like a better fish than the last one. We'll see. My boat going, man, our wind will not stay blowing. I got a big sock out. Could totally get by without it. May pull it in. Coming down the lake though, it was rolling pretty good. Just it will not make its mind up. One thing about the wind, I can fish it either way. I actually like a good breeze. I think I catch more fish. But the bottom line is, it just needs to do one thing or another. Blow or don't blow. That way I can adjust. Except on the top, yeah, he's not that big. This is a medium light trolling rod from Catch the Fever. The other rods are the medium Catch the Fever rod. So they're a little stiffer action with the big baits. And these small ones that I've got these perch fillets on has the medium light trolling rods. We have caught some big fish on them. Light part full. I don't think this fish is in that. There may actually be a fish on that other one too. There he is. Heck yeah, got a lot of mud. Got a lot of mud. It's usually a bad sign, but it's a good sign for us because we caught him. Let's get him back alive. All right, so this one will be confusing, but one thing I'll tell you to do in the wintertime is one, early winter, upsize baits. I think it is the time to be putting out bigger baits. I've got half the baits out today out of the 6 rods I've got in the water are large baits, either whole fish or the heads and midsections. It's a good time for big baits to be using them. It's like these fish are feeding up. Now, with that said, you get on into the colder winter, things start to slow down. I downsize baits, at least a good majority of them. Sometimes the fish, because their metabolism slows down a lot, they are not feeding as aggressively. They are not eating big, huge bait. So later in the winter, on into February, that time frame when it's really bitter cold, late January, try downsize and you might get more hookups. Weird bite, but I think I got one swimming off with this bait. Weird bite, man. It like hit it, but was going off to the side. There we go, he's hooked up. Can't tell if this is a big bait or not. I think it is. Still got that inconsistent wind. Since the last fish, I probably fished for an hour and have not caught a fish. The closer I got to the river channel, the deep water, bite died completely. So pull back into this creek mouth. This is where the biting fish are. There's not a pile of them on the sonar, but there's one on the hook. Better fish. I think he's nettable. Better net him. Oh yeah. I better net him. He's the biggest fish of the day. Let's take a look at him. Roll that hook out of your mouth. There's 13, 14 pound fish. That rod's hanging over my head here. Look at that. Nice clean blue there, guys. Fishing line in the way. There you go, nice looking fish. He's clean, no bud. I say he, probably a female. Pretty good looking fish, 13, 14 pounds. Nice one. Nice one. Let's get it back alive. A little quick look at the rig. That hooker's terminal tackle, rattling shad thingy majiggy. This is that Dragon Master hook. I got to look and it's borderline whether or not that is actually a circle hook. That point kind of comes back, not totally perpendicular. It's close. I'm gonna call it an almost circle hook. Bottom line is it's got a good gap on it. There goes my perch rod there bopping. I'm gonna get another one of these big pieces of bait on it. Let's give him an old body chunk here. Remember guys, when you hook these body sections, put that hook in at like a little bit of an angle like that. Coming through that piece, see that? Helps keep it from rolling in. You see another thing there, that scale. Get that scale off. That little bitty scale can keep you from getting hooked up on a fish. All right, another thing you can expect in the wintertime is some big shifts and changes as it gets really cold. Early in the winter, when these water temperatures are still pretty warm, these creeks are still holding a lot of fish and a lot of bait. As it gets colder, a lot of times these big schools of fish will pull out to deeper water. The biggest reason is it's more stable than the shallower water as far as temperatures go. It's still cold. It's not any warmer in the deeper water, but it's more stable. That deep water is less affected by dramatic temperature changes. Look for some dramatic swings. With that said, when you get those warming trends and that water warms up for a couple days and you get a lot of sunlight on it, don't ignore those shallows. We'll talk more about that in a minute. It's like another weird bite with a bait swimming off. Yeah. That is weird, dude. Pretty sure that's a fish. There's some head movement. Yep, there's head shaking. Yep, there he is. Dude, that's 2 in a row where they picked up the bait and just swam off with it. That was on a planer and it's just kind of like going off to the side where it wanted to go. Crazy bite, crazy bite. We'll take it though. Not really sure what that is. It's just this lethargic fish. This is actually a smaller bait too. This is one of the fillets. Let's get this off of here. And it feels like a decent fish. Hopefully he's not into a planer board. Crazy winter fishing, man. It can happen in the winter. They get lethargic sometimes. And then sometimes they go nuts. That's fishing. That is fishing. By the way, 30-pound Andy monofilament. It's ancient mariner reel. Big cat fever. Medium light trolling rod. He's straight up and down now. There he is. That's a good looking fish. Another one. Shoot. Nice fish. Small bait. There goes one right there. There goes one outside planer. Look at that. Small bait. Small bait, small hook. Small bait rig. It's one in the teens there. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Beautiful blue cat. I think that one's hooked up on the outside. I don't know if it is. If it is, we'll take it, man. Blue cat hitting the fillet. Let go of my finger. Nice job. There we go. Good looking fish, guys. There, say hello, world. Yes, ma'am. Let's get you back alive. Now, what I was starting to say earlier was, don't ignore the shallow water. At least, not all the time. There are some times when that shallow water, the back of those creeks up near the bank, can produce some big fish. My son's biggest fish he's ever caught to this day, and he was a little kid when he caught it, was on New Year's Day in the back of a creek in about 4 feet of water. We had a lot of rain. It was muddy as could be. It was a warm rain. We had a warm front come through. We had some 60-degree temperatures. The water temperature had come up about 5 or 6 degrees. There was some bait back in there, and there was a 60-pound blue cat. So don't ignore it. You know, it's not something you have to focus on all the time, but again, like I was saying earlier, keep an eye on that weather. You got to play weatherman. Your odds of getting it right are about as good as the professionals. So keep an eye on the weather. And, you know, when you get those warming trends, don't be afraid to go shallow because there might be some fish in there. As far as baits go, well, I'm a big fan of gizzard shad in the wintertime. For whatever reason, I think gizzard shad work really good in the wintertime. With that said, I talked to some guys from a tournament recently. Was asking them, hey, what were you finding in the live wells? And there were a lot of mussels. So with that said, the old chicken bait will work. If you can get mussels where you're at, Asiatic clams, whatever, that's great. But the old chicken bait will work, especially for you guys who may be confined to the bank, can't throw a net, whatever the circumstances are. It will catch fish too in the wintertime. So I'm a big fan of gizzard shad. I'm a big fan of, you know, chicken, especially if you're fishing anywhere it's got any mussel beds around it. And, you know, you can still use bluegill. Bluegill are a lot harder to catch in the wintertime. You can catch them, you got to work for them. So lean toward the gizzard shad. The chicken, if you can't throw a net, I think you put some fish on the hook.